Welcome to today's episode of the Head of the Race podcast. I am your host, Maya, and I am probably the happiest person in the world right now because I hope at least, that I fixed my audio issue that I've been dealing with for like a week. I've been so unmotivated to do my podcast because there was one that I recorded and the sound was just so terrible. I could not post it. I kind of had this week of trying different things and testing things out. And I'm so excited that I finally fixed it. And now I can just film episodes. It's going to be a little different because I missed those few days. I'm going to kind of have to bundle up a few stages into one. But also, I feel like I'm not the type of person to close myself off to only one sport in particular because I love to talk about different sports and listen to things about different sports and watch different sports. So today I'm going to also talk a bit about the US Open because I'm just so excited about it. Currently it is 7:39 of like Polish time. And the women's final of the US Open is starting in about an hour and a half, I think. And I've just, after the past few days of watching the US Open and kind of, getting into the vibe of the tennis that is currently going on, I feel so excited to maybe talk a bit about especially the two men's semifinals because I watched them both right, like the one after the other, and they were completely two different matches. So yeah, I'm gonna also talk a bit about that. I am going to talk about the Vuelta, of course, because cycling is the reason for my life. So I'm also gonna discuss that, but I'm gonna talk about the US Open because I'm just so excited. I've been wanting to talk about the US Open to so many people now, and the only person who I can talk about it with is my boyfriend, who kind of does not care as much about tennis. And also, he slept over at my house yesterday. And because the US Open is happening, of course, in America, the matches happen like really late at night. Or if you're lucky, they happen in the evenings. Like today, the final of the women's final is happening at 9:30, 10. So this is not bad at all. But the men's matches, the Medvedev and Carlos Alcaraz semifinals were going on at, I think it was 2 a.m. I feel like that's when they started. No, maybe not. It was like 3 a.m., I think. I don't know. But it was pretty late either way. Yeah, I think it was 1 a.m. I'm sorry. So he was basically falling asleep. I was talking to him and he was like, yeah, whatever, because I watched the whole thing. I didn't sleep until 5 in the morning, and then I went to bed and I had to wake up at 9. So my energy levels today are a bit low. So if I talk sometimes like I'm dying, I probably am dying. I'm like, I can feel the lack of sleep in my body, especially because I've been watching some of the US Open matches, and I'm definitely feeling it. That I've been doing a bunch of late falling asleep for the past few days and having to wake up at an early hour, because if you pull like a really long night, you might still feel a little bit better if you sleep in basically. I've not done that. I've been having to wake up really early, do some studying, do stuff like that. So I've just been, like exhausted. But I really want to talk about it. I'm so excited to talk about it. Oh my God. The Alcaraz Medvedev match was so insane. So insane. Personally, if I'm honest, I was so weirded out by the amount of kind of like people not caring about Medvedev at all. The guy won US Open in 2021. He's an incredible hardcourt player, and he got this weird sort of, I don't know, opinion that there was like a stat that basically the percentage, like the possibility of Medvedev winning was 19%, and Alcaraz it was 81%. And I remember looking at the stat, like whatever it was, and I was like, this is so bizarre. Yeah, of course, Alcaraz is playing insanely right now. He's probably like maybe not the best tennis player in the world. I still think Djokovic is the best player, but he's probably really close to being the best or second best, basically. And I get that, but still, Medvedev loves hard courts. He's like, this is probably the best surface for him. And he's getting this weird disrespect, which I thought maybe you can do like a 60-40, maybe like a 70, maybe 65-35, 70-30, 75-25, something. Not like 80, 75-25 is still not enough. But 81 to 19% percentage, like that is so insane. That is so insane. So basically throughout the whole match, I have like thoughts. I feel like Alcaraz was not playing the best, and I do feel like you have to take that into account when talking about this match, because I don't feel like this was the perfect Carlos. I feel like he was off his game. His drop shots were kind of like not perfect. Like he really was not going well when it came to like, coming to the net and kind of like working, like those kind of situations. I feel like he is usually so incredible in those moments, and I feel like he kind of like wasn't as like he normally would be. Medvedev served so incredibly well, and he actually said in an interview before the match that he was like, I need to serve really well, because I feel like I did not serve well in my past matches with Carlos, because they basically had a head-to-head with Carlos winning the every single time they met each other. They played each other 3 times, and Medvedev lost 3 times. And he said basically that he needs to serve better if he wants to win. That's for sure. And he also said what I thought was really interesting. And this is when I was like starting to think, I feel like the guy has a really good chance, not only because I just believed it by itself, because I feel like he's an amazing hardcore player, but I also thought he looked mentally stable. And this is why I thought it. He basically said, Carlos is amazing. He can do this shot. He can do this shot. But he's still, he said, like, he's still a human. He can still lose. We've seen him lose. And I was like, I feel like he has a really great plan for Carlos. And he actually did. I feel like he did. The only thing that people are kind of like really grasping onto is how Medvedev basically received the serves of Carlos, because Medvedev is the type of player that when he's the one like receiving the serve, he's like really far away from the line, like as far away as it can be. And Carlos really used that, because he basically served wide and then he came to the net immediately and he something close to the net, and forced Medvedev to have to run a lot, and he would not be able to even run to the ball, which I thought was really smart. And it was like every single time Carlos wanted an easy point, or maybe something like closing an advantage or something like that, that would like almost guarantee him a 1 game or a set. I mean, he only won 1 set, but a 1 game. He basically did that move. Although at some point he actually kind of started to maybe not do that as well. So the first set was really exciting. They were playing really close, although I feel like Carlos was making a lot of mistakes, and he was, letting the ball out a lot, and he was kind of missing shots and not being as precise as he normally would be. And then in the second set, wow, it was like staggering how Medvedev was like very prepared strategically wise to the match. I was really impressed. Third set, amazing by Carlos. He just showed so much resilience when it comes. He's the 20-year-old guy, and he's showing incredible resilience and mental strength and stability. Like, for a guy that has just started this amazing career, this is like his first slam defense, and we're acting as if this guy is going to be, be impeccable in every way. But I feel like still he showed such incredible like resilience and form, and I feel like he was just amazing when it came to like that third set. The fourth set, I actually was surprised it ended as quickly. I thought that Carlos might have maybe gone like a 6-4, something like that, but Medvedev really wanted to close it out on his service game, which I cannot blame him. I feel like it was the perfect way to do it, because although they did, fight it out for quite a bit, it still was like, it was pretty much like whenever Medvedev had his service, like it was his serve, it was like lights out. Like the guy was just, focused, like focus. Another thing that I was so incredibly mad about is how the freaking crowd was acting. Like, what the hell? Like, I know you love Carlos. I love him as well. He's an amazing guy. Like, he's a showman. He's just like the talent, like a generational talent. But you don't have to be such a fucking dick, I guess. Like, I was so mad about it yesterday. Every single time there was like a situation with Medvedev, getting an advantage and Carlos maybe losing out a bit, the crowd would just be so obnoxious. Like, especially there was this one situation where they started screaming in between like services, and I was like, it's so clear who the crowd is partial to. Like, it was so like, it was obvious. It was so obvious, but yeah, that's basically that match. I was really enjoying it. Like, I kind of was, I don't know if I was rooting for anyone, actually. I don't feel like I was. I was like, I just hope this goes on for as long as it can, because, wow. And also, I feel like Medvedev really wanted to close it out in that fourth set, because it might have been a different story if they went to the fifth set. I feel like fifth set might have been more like an advantage for Carlos, because Medvedev was looking tired, youth, energy, and also, I don't know, I feel like just, that kind of mentality, and, like Alcaraz is just incredible. I don't know. And there was like a stat that Alcaraz has never came back from a 0-2 when it comes to sets, which I was kind of surprised about. I thought he maybe like could have done that. I don't know. Whatever. The Djokovic Shelton final, the only like really interesting thing that happened was the celebration thing, where basically Djokovic ditched Ben's celebration and kind of like, I don't know, mocked. I don't know if it was like mocking or what, but it was kind of like, which is weird because Djokovic is the type of guy who's very controversial. He's like a Serbian, very, I don't know if conservative's the right, I don't know about his political views, but I don't think he's conservative, but I don't know, actually. But basically, this very controversial figure, kind of you either hate him or you love him kind of person. And he usually is respectful to his opponents. He is petty sometimes, but I don't feel like he ever has done something like that. I was really shocked he did that. But when it comes to the game itself, really nothing significant. I feel like Ben played pretty bad those first two sets. But also I was talking to my boyfriend about basically, I feel like the nerves of playing a guy like Djokovic, and you're playing Djokovic, is kind of like something in itself. Maybe if the same guy you're playing against would not be Djokovic, but he would be playing the exact same, you might be a bit better. Nerves and kind of the pressure, and like, I'm playing Novak Djokovic, a 23-time Grand Slam winner. Like, holy shit. But, still, I feel like he did give a bit of entertainment. He is a character. I feel like tennis lacks character sometimes. I feel like maybe actually, I don't know. I don't feel like the top 10 currently of like the men's top 10 isn't as strong. Like, sure, maybe this is a bit of, controversial, but I feel like the top 10 of like the men's top 10 is not as strong. Like, for example, Rudd, the guy, I don't even know when he lost, like second round, first round. I don't know. It was like really, really early. I am a Yannick Sinner fan. He's my favorite tennis player, and I'm kind of at this point so furious with the amount of like injury issues and cramps, and you just need someone to work on him because I don't know, maybe his like physical preparation coach is not doing his job properly because the guy is just suffering. Like either he's out with an injury or he's cramping and there's some issues. I'm just so mad at this point. When it comes to the women's though, women's when it comes to the women though, Iga Swiatek did unfortunately, you know, she lost. Which is sad because as a Polish person, you always want to root for the Polish athlete. She is gonna lose her number one ranking, which is like kind of a big deal. Like she's been number one for such a long time. It's been such a big part of her brand with like the one god, like Iga was like a one basically, I think. And also she was just incredible last year and also this year. Like her winner Roland Garros was just amazing, and you know it's kind of sad, but I don't know. It's like maybe sometimes you need that kind of moment in your life, like that kind of I'm losing and I'm not playing the best because I do feel like she played better last year. I do think it, but still, Arina Sabalenka now deserves the ranking. She's been amazing. Like she's been to so many like semifinals, final. I feel like she might win. Although I'm rooting for Coco. I'm rooting for Coco so badly. I watched so many of her games this US Open. Her controversial game with that, I think she was German, that lady. I feel like, I don't know, which we all know that game was so chaotic. Like that woman was just absolutely forcing the game to be as slow as possible, and then she's crying at the freaking press conference. Like, you know what you were doing. Like she knows what she was doing. I don't know. I feel like this is one of those situations where like I don't believe it, you know? I am a person that's usually very like on the side of the athlete and I really think about their emotion, but I feel like that was just yeah, she went out of the stadium at one point and she was cursing or I don't know what, you know, she was talking in a emotional way, I guess, when she went basically back to the locker rooms after she lost to Coco is like Polish, you know. And Sabalenka, there was a bit of controversy in her match with Keys. She was like cursing and she was talking suka, which is, you know, a bitch and English, and I don't know, man. I don't know. She's a character. That woman is a character. There's, you know, of course, the controversy with her being Belarusian, which, you know, I'm Polish. I am kind of in the middle of the current situation. You know, I've never been a fan of Russian people. Like, maybe not a fan, but like, being a Polish person is such a weird thing, especially I see when I'm abroad, because we have a pretty bad history with Russia, of course, and when I travel and I talk with my mother in Polish and also like my parents and basically my mom, when you look at her, she looks like you would say stereotypical Eastern European, like Russian woman. You would say she looks Russian because she has platinum blonde hair. She wears red lipstick. She has like usually a really nice outfit. And because of that, they feel like she's like Russian. She's like, you know, a wife of like some sort of, I don't know, oligarch. I don't know. I don't know. But basically, and they scream at us like some Russian stuff. I don't know. I don't even remember like spasiba. I don't know. Whatever the hell. But you know, they spasiba. I don't even know. They scream Russian at us, and that like is so. I hate that. Like that's when I get the most annoyed. Is when they scream in Russian at us. That's when I'm like the most annoyed person in the world, but still I don't want to be, because there's people like Rublev, there's people like Medvedev, there's people like King. She has a really hard name, but basically, you know, those people, or like Rybakina. Of course, I know she's under the Kazakhstan flag, but I feel like she's Russian or something like that. There was people like really nice people. So there's controversy around it. I don't know why she gets it the most. I don't know actually why she gets it the most, because I feel like Medvedev and Rublev don't get as much scrutiny in the media as Arina Sabalenka gets. Maybe it's because of her character, because she has some, her boyfriend I think is Russian or something. I don't know. I'm really interested about that. But today's the final of the women's final. I do think Arena has the bigger chance of winning. Although I am gonna be rooting for Coco, like I said. But yeah, I'm really excited. This is what I just wanted to talk about the U.S. Open tiny bit. There's been some upsets, like Rudd got eliminated really early. Tsitsipas got eliminated really early as well. Who else? Rune, I think he got out pretty early. That Sinner Zverev match was really exciting. I really loved it. I was also watching it like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I did not, survive that very well because the next day I had to be up at like 10. Like I slept for like 2 hours that day. But it's one of those tournaments that I just really like to watch. I don't know. I feel like the U.S. Open is just a really nice like closing of the summer, I guess. But basically that's it. Now we're gonna get into cycling. Finally, we're gonna talk about cycling, about the Vuelta. It's been an eventful few days. I'm gonna start with the time trial because I feel like there's not much to talk about when it comes to the time trial, because basically 26Ks almost flat, not really technical, basically Ghana or Remco win guaranteed. And as we all know, Ghana rode an impeccable time trial. Like the guy was flying. He did a 56 kilometers per hour average. Like that's insane. He rode 1 minute and 19 seconds faster than Bisagar, which I was like, what the hell? It was just amazing. Like 56 Ks, the talent this guy has. And I feel like it was one of those things where he wanted to kind of show us, I love the world champs, but I still am the freaking amazing cyclist. Like people are just like, yeah, whatever. Like he lost to Remco, he's not good anymore. I've seen those kind of opinions, but he just showed us, I still got it, babe. When it comes to the significant things that happened, there was some issues going on with Geraint Thomas. He had a mechanical, so he kind of lost out. And then basically, after Jonas started riding, we at this point knew that Ghana is probably going to win, especially after the first time check of Remco. Ghana's probably going to be the winner. So now it was just kind of looking who was going to be the second fastest after Ghana, and the third and the fourth and the fifth, basically. And that's how the time trial went. From like my thoughts, Jonas did a pretty bad TT. Like I feel like he had a bad day. I'm going to be honest. I don't feel like it was purely him not being a good time trialist or something, because we all know he can time trial. Like even at this year's tour, I know it was a mountain time trial, but he still did really well on the flat. It was like he was gaining time on the flat even. But I feel like he maybe had a bad day. And then we had Remco, who was second in the time trial. He also rode really well, but he wanted to win the stage. Like we could see that he wanted to win the stage. Because he was like frustrated after, maybe he wanted to gain some more time, and he did not gain that much on Geraint, which not Geraint, sorry, on Primož, and on he did get on Jonas, but only like it was like 19 seconds, so probably wanted to gain a bit more. But I don't know, I feel like he still did a pretty good job. Maybe like from the perspective of time, maybe he was already starting to feel a bit tired, And then we had the stage 11, I think, 11, which was from Lerma to La Laguna Negra. And it was one of the stages that was just so anticlimactic. Everybody's like, yeah, now they're going to, now we know what's the times for the mountains and where everyone's at, and now it's just like purely racing in the mountains and on stages, no waiting for time trials. And it was like anticlimactic. It was absolutely anticlimactic. Basically, Yemba controlling, breakaway went. Who were the more significant riders in that breakaway? It was Geraint Thomas. There was Filippo Ganna in that. There was Kron. There was Ovsian. I'm going to talk about it because he's Polish. You probably don't even know who he is. There was Nicolau. Who else do I remember? Ruda Guad also was there. Caicedo was there. Rudy Mollard was there. So a bunch of, pretty significant riders actually went in that breakaway. And it was like Filippo Ganna went to the front and he was drilling in the front. Like the guy was just absolutely killing them. Kron did some pulling in the front, I'm not even going to get into that. Basically, my biggest takeaway from that is I'm going to speed through these because I've been I kind of I've been missing out on doing the podcast because of the audio issues that I've been having. But, basically the takeaway from that stage, Filippo Ganna did an amazing pull, fireworks. The guy is just amazing. Then Quickstep kind of blocked the whole peloton. It was a funny thing to see. No really crazy things happened that day. I'm not going to do the details. Even though Filippo Ganna did an amazing pull, Geraint Thomas did not end up winning the stage, so that is unfortunate. And now we're going to get into the Tourmalet stage. I'm probably going to get more in detail for this stage, although I'm not going to get into as much detail as I would have liked because I want to kind of jam-pack all of those stages into one episode, so, kind of sucks. But I am going to be back to regular programming tomorrow. Today, after this chaotic one. And basically, there were attacks right away, right when we started the stage. Finally, we had full day coverage. Thank you, God. Why couldn't we have this earlier? This is so fun to see. I was so excited to finally get to see breakaway and the action kind of going on. There were multiple attacks by multiple riders. Jumbo-Visma was answering to a lot of them. And before an actual breakaway could form, there was this crazy thing that happened. 93 Ks to go. Almeida started dropping. And I was like, what? He basically said in an interview that he's been feeling sick for the past few days and all, tired, fatigue, the guy's been doing a grand tour and he's also feeling not the best, so it's all gonna pile up, basically. And then Jumbo-Visma was like, this is perfect. We're not gonna waste any time. They went to the front, wham in it at the front, and then 89 kilometers. We're still on the Col de l'Abysse, and Remco Evenepoel starts dropping. And I was this is my reaction. I was speechless. Because I've been a cycling fan for, like I said, a hardcore one for 1 year. Maybe a bit more, but about a year. And I've never been this shocked. I've never been. Especially during this year's tour when there was the stage, I do not remember which one it was exactly, where Pogacar dropped pretty early. And that was 15 kilometers to go. And this is 90 kilometers to go. I was just shocked. You could not, it was crazy because those kind of moments are moments where the guy's not purely dropping due to physical situations, but also mentally. I feel like mentally he there was some sort of block. You can see it, especially after today, which we're gonna get into later, but spoiler alert, Remco won a stage. So the guy has good legs. Maybe not amazing. Maybe he did not actually have power, but still, he's not, dropping on obese with fucking guessing pulling. Not those kind of legs. Maybe there's the illness. He also said, yeah, he's not sick. Also, Patrick Lefevere said, yeah, I'm in Belgium, but he's not sick. We've not heard about any diseases. So, it's those kind of situations when you're like, this is why I think mental health is so important to athletes. And that's why I think it's a great thing that in a sport like tennis, which I want to talk about, the players very often work with psychologists that help them kind of prepare for the mental scrutiny you're going to go under when you're playing in a Grand Slam, when you're playing in a US Open final, in a Wimbledon final, anything like that. I feel like maybe more people should try and do that. Maybe more athletes should try and do that, because I feel like it might help. And I feel like Remco today did not only lose time because of legs. Maybe there was like this pressure. He lost the TT. Everyone's like, yeah, he's finished. He lost the TT. He gained like 20 seconds on Roglic. And there's like this thing like you get, and also like the first week he was getting hit with things day after day after day after day, and you're like, the world is testing you. You're getting tested every single day. And then this happens. So I was like, I feel like that day, something broke. Something broke in him. Although I do not feel like he lost 27 minutes because, he was going full out till the finish line and he still lost 27 minutes. I feel like he probably could have lost, like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes if he would have, like, really went for it. Maybe even less. Maybe, like, 8 minutes. But I feel like at some point he was like, I'm just going to, chill out and go for breakaways and try to go for stage wins, which I feel like was the smarter thing to do. But still, it was heartbreaking to see him in that state. It was really heartbreaking because the guy's so young and he gets this weird amount of hate. I feel like he's just one of those cyclists that there's a lot of criticism. There's a lot of criticism going on around him. Of course, it was a shocker to see him drop. But still, I feel like sometimes as people, we might try to look at ourselves and reevaluate how we approach these people. Because sometimes I feel like a guy like Remco kind of may be victim to some of those not so nice comments and people putting him under pressure and saying he needs to gain like 40 seconds on the TT and he needs to do that. He's not going to a long race. He's not going to be able to win. He's going to get, killed by Jumbo. I don't know. I feel like sometimes we can talk about, living each day after another and seeing what happens. You can have an opinion, but there's different ways to voice your opinions. That's what I'm trying to say, basically. But, we're going to move on from that topic of him dropping. We're just going to talk about what happened later. At that point, till the rest of the day, it was just a Jumbo machine. Like the Jumbo machine, they absolutely owned the stage. Robert Gessing was basically pulling till the top of the obelisk. He was in the front doing, amazing work. I feel like the guy has just been amazing. Like, you would never say that sounds so mean, but as old as he is, he's incredible. He's been doing amazing work for Jumbo-Visma. Definitely, they're going to appreciate what he's done this Vuelta because he has done a lot of good selection and kind of doing the hard work in, like, the middle part of the stage. Just amazing work by Gessing. I really loved what he was doing. And also kind of, like, getting back to Remco again for a second, there was even, like, the shot of him being next to Ghana. And I feel like that also, like, is another punch in the stomach when a guy you typically would, easily would have dropped and he's still there. I don't know. I just, especially after today, I'm, like, really kind of emotional about this whole Remco thing because the guy was, like, crying on the finish line. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. But, I kind of am going to because I'm talking about the stage in perspective of the next day. So I'm kind of going to get into that. But still. With like 72 Ks to go, there basically was like a group that formed in the front that was practically fully like Jumbo-Visma. Like, it was practically fully Jumbo-Visma. There was Sepp Kuss in there. There was Roglic in there. There was Jonas Vingegaard in there. It was like practically just Jumbo Visma, and I was like, wow, this is like crazy stuff. There was even like the mini gap. It was Landa, Caruso, Kuss, and Jonas. They kind of broke away from Primož for a little bit, and that was even more bizarre. I was like, what the hell is this? I feel like they just wanted to make the race hard when they saw that Remco's dropped. They're gonna like, we're gonna go full out so we can just close this thing, close this chapter, and kind of like get this whole Remco thing over with, because we're gonna use the situation. Which Bahrain did help them quite a bit because they did a lot of work in the front. Which I was like, why are you doing this? I feel like they could have kind of used Jumbo. Like they could have just, Jumbo was gonna pull either way. Like they're gonna be pulling because they want to gain as much time on Remco. And why are you like wasting legs? There's still another huge, like we have the whole Tourmalet to go, and you're wasting legs unnecessarily. I don't know why they did that. I feel like that was kind of one of those unnecessary decisions that they did. I don't know, but I'm not gonna get into it. It was the team's decision, and then Bahrain kind of like dropped one by one, which is kind of. Then Landa attacked, with Jonas responding almost immediately to his attack. He was on his wheel like that. Sepp basically did not respond to the attack immediately. He did close it a bit later, but then Landa attacked again, and Jonas was immediately on his wheel. You can see that Jonas was really like, he wanted to win the stage, he wanted to be in the group, he wanted to be attacking, he wanted to be really active. And also Jumbo probably wanted to make the race hard for like a guy like Soler, who's and close on GC. He's probably too close for Jumbo's liking. They probably want to keep him away a little bit. So in that situation, they're gonna try and make it as hard as they possibly can, win the stage, do that. The descent was, pretty quick. Jonas was going pretty quickly on the descent. It was, a bit of nerves probably. The group was so reduced by that point. It was like 60 kilometers to go to the finish line, and the group has been reduced so much. Like there's not many guys there, so we're going for the stage. There's no breakaway in the front. We're just gonna wham it as much as we can. Then Jonas attacks. It was just it was one of those stages which was so crazy. I don't remember every single attack by every single guy, and then at some point they kind of slowed down, like 50 something kilometers to go. Guessing caught up, Wilco caught up, and they did some work in the front. Martinez was kind of with the group, and then he got dropped, and then with the group, and then he got dropped. He was kind of like acting like Almeida. He was kind of doing Almeida stuff, with being dropped and coming back, and being dropped and coming back. Was it Gregoire? Who was it from Groupama? I don't know who it was. I don't remember, but there was someone from Groupama. Maybe it was Storer, who's trying to go for I don't know, who was trying to go for the stage perhaps, but basically after Martinez got dropped, Groupama was like, come back. We're just gonna try and make sure that Martinez loses as little time as possible, even though he looked just tired. And then at some point, it was just Jumbo full on. I kind of like don't even remember the exact details of everything, because I was kind of sleepy. Oh my god, I'm gonna be honest. I was kind of sleepy that day. But, then there was like the reduced group. Chris was behind Jonas. Jonas attacked. He went solo. Gained really like a lot of time very quickly. Chris did not respond, but then he actually did respond. Kind of went a bit, quickly created a bit of a gap between him and Roglic, but Jonas still won. He told us in the interview afterwards that he wanted to win for Frida. He wanted to win for his daughter, whose birthday just happened, and I watched the Danish interview, and he was like, to my treasure, and like he was emotional. The guy he's like me. He's a sappy person. Like he's so emotional about everything, about family, about all that stuff. I really identify with that, and it's also cool to see that kind of emotional side of athletes. They're not just rocks who everything, no matter what happens, no matter how they're feeling. They're just gonna, neutral. And it's really nice to see emotions. So I was, I was also kind of, I was kind of emotional when that happened. Kus is still in the red. He's still GC leader. GC Kus is still going strong. Primoz Roglic basically arrives like pretty much right after Kus. I know this is a very sped up and chaotic podcast, but it's due to those audio issues and me being kind of back on the podcast grind. That's why I'm kind of I'm gonna talk about today's stage. I'm gonna try and make this a bit more detailed. Although I feel like today's stage was just so long. I don't know why. It felt really long for some reason. It was pretty exciting, but it felt like really long. We started in Savater de Bern. It was in France, and then we arrived in Lara Belagua, which is Spain. And I was like, I thought definitely Remco's gonna go into breakaway. Like, he's so 1,000,000% he's going in that breakaway. The guy lost 28 minutes. He's gonna try and do something now. And of course he did. He was so active when it came to attacks. Like, he was, he was just going, and he was like, whenever there was some sort of response, he still tried to go again and going again, and really, really wanted to be in a breakaway. Then a breakaway did form with like 100 something, 100, maybe, I don't know, 15 kilometers to go. A breakaway did end up getting created with, I'm going to name a few people who were in the breakaway. There was Remco in the breakaway. There was Castroviejo. There was Caruso. There was Juan Pedro Lopez. There was Storer. There was Kemna. There was Groves. There was Bisager. There was Sean Quinn. There was Rui Costa. Nelson Oliveira was in that breakaway. Bardet was in that breakaway. Dainese was in the breakaway. There was a lot of big names in that breakaway. Guys who, have a really big chance of winning from a breakaway. And basically then also I think there was some other, attacks going on. So the peloton let that break go. With 100 kilometers to go, they already gained 4 minutes, something like that, on the peloton. Jumbo was in the front, of course. They're going to try and control. Tratnik was at the front working with 100 kilometers to go on that climb, the 9-kilometer climb. Maybe not 9-kilometer, but which one was it? I don't remember the name. It was I don't know, the one that started with H. I'm sorry, I cannot remember the name of the climb right now. He did some work in the front, of course, controlling. Also, UAE went to the front for quite a bit. I think they really wanted to do something with Ayuso today. Like, they really, really wanted, but nothing really came about of it. Like, nothing really happened when it comes to Ayuso. When they went to the front, the gap kind of did get a bit smaller. It was like 3 minutes, I guess. It was not that much. And I thought at the point, maybe they're going to actually catch the breakaway. Maybe they're going to do it. But it did not end up happening because at some point they kind of went right to the back. And there was Jumbo kind of came to the front again. It was pretty weird. So Novak from UAE was pulling in the front. Groves, he went into that breakaway, but he got dropped like pretty much immediately after. So, yeah. And also Remco in that breakaway, he was doing like 99% of the work. He did have, a teammate who was helping him in that breakaway, but still, the guy was doing so much work in that breakaway. Like, wow. You can just see he had Catano in the group, but still, he was just so determined to win today. You could see that in him. And riders started dropping pretty quickly. So with 100 kilometers to go, Bernal's dropped. Thomas's dropped. Carthy's dropped. Carthy looked really bad today. That sounds so mean, but he looked really tired and just, really, really low energy. Barely could, do something. And then we have Almeida. He also dropped pretty early. Like, he was struggling today. You can see it. 93 kilometers to go, and the guy's like in the back. You can see he's tired. He's really moving on the bike. You can see that he he's just really tired. He's not sitting steadily and doing the work. He's kind of moving around. You can see he's basically uncomfortable in the front. And also Jonas had a bit of he had a mechanical as well, which I thought it's not that significant, but and also kind of a thing I wanted to talk about was that Remco in an interview that I read on cyclingnews.com, he said that basically he cried a lot after that stage yesterday. He said, and I quote, "I'm okay, but it was a very difficult evening with a lot of tears and crying." Evenepoel admitted at the start of Saturday's stage to Cycling News and other media present at the race, explaining the breadth of his disappointment, which that must be difficult to talk about when you're a male athlete. And I quote, not quote, but male. And I'm going to underline that because we live in a society where men being vulnerable is not as, open and not as normalized. So when a guy like him, Remco, who's, he wants to put up this persona of being strong and nothing can hurt him, nothing can basically cause anything to happen to him. And he's admitting, I cried. I felt horrible, which I feel like is really, really brave. And it kind of adds to his win today and how he won. And, just shows character. Again, this is why I love athletes that have strong characters, because you just respect it so much. Of course, I respect every athlete, but when you see how he came back from that hit yesterday, it's just incredible. It's just incredible to see. 90 kilometers to go, he kind of whacks it in the front. The only person who can respond to the attack is Bardet. He's on his wheel. Remco just does this huge acceleration. By that point, you can see he's really motivated. Then nothing really happens for quite a bit. I did read that Tratnik fell, which is unfortunate, of course. It's dangerous. He fell on the descent. Of course, horrible news to see. I do not know if anything really bad happened to him, but still, descending and falling, one of the freaking scariest things. When it came to the work between Remco and Bardet even said in an interview, Remco did 80% of the work. He was so motivated. The guy was like a motorcycle today. Flat, climb, descending. Bardet even said he was descending so fast. I was like, I had to be really careful because the guy was just riding like a maniac. Passion. And this is why I love sports. It's showing you different stories and how you can overcome difficulties. Every day is a new day. And I just love that. Kind of like a metaphor. 60 kilometers to go. There's a UAE train in the front. Almeida, I don't know how the guy does it. He can have a horrible day, but still, he just manages to stick. It's typical Almeida. I don't know. He's just the funniest fucking person in the peloton. I know. Sometimes when you see him drop 90 Ks to go, and then he's with the main group at the top of the climb. Casual. The guy is just really, really. It's kind of funny. You have to admit. 12 kilometers to go on that climb, on the second climb, and Remco is in the front again, working. The gap is not as big. It's only 4:30, and there was this situation where Bardet got water from a spectator, and he drank some of the water. I don't know if he also did that, but I know Remco did. He drank some of the water, and he also took the water. He poured the water on himself because it was hot, and he poured some water on Remco as well. It's amazing sportsmanship, kind of showing that even though we're competitors and we're, working against each other, we're kind of working together, but we're against each other. But, still shows humanity, sportsmanship, amazing character. I love Bardet. He's just such a pure-hearted person, and you can see it. He poured the water on Remco. He gave the water to Remco, and Remco drank it, which I thought, that's sus. You don't want to do that. There's crazy people in the world. I talked about a few episodes back, there's people that have this weird resentment towards cyclists. So hopefully there were no laxatives in that bottle. Hopefully he's okay. He's okay. No one, tried to poison him. But, amazing situation to see kind of Bardet pouring the water on Remco, showing humanity, and even the toughest moments of racing against the guy on the cycling race. 55 kilometers to go. There's this tiny group, really, really, really small. There's a lot of selection going on. UAE's working in the front. There's Ayuso in that group. Jonas. There's, I think, Valter. There's Primož. There's Valpuls in the group. It's Mas. But it is really, really small with quite a bit of time till the finish. Then also Storer, another little story of the stage. The guy's just another one of those athletes are crazy. Like, they have character. They have incredible character. He was another one of those who just refused to give up. Like, he was like, I'm not giving up. And he was trying to bridge to Remco and Bardet. He did not manage to do it, but still, I feel like the guy is just so young and has so much to prove. And he's just taking every single day as a new opportunity. So, shout out to Storer. Absolutely amazing. The front group was Remco and Bardet. They were riding together for pretty much like 90K. And their group kind of behind was Castroviejo, and there was someone from Intermarché. Lotto Destiny. Which I think was Van Eetveld. I don't know. I am not sure, but I feel like it was him. And basically, they kind of held the gap to about 2 minutes, maybe a minute towards Remco and Bardet. But they were not caught by the peloton, which I thought they were going to be, but they actually weren't. I think, actually. I don't know. But, and now we know that Remco's going to be the new KOM leader because he won pretty much all of the KOM sprints, and he has, I think, 53. I don't know, but he has quite a bit of points by now. And then 53 kilometers to go. You can see the pace is starting to go a bit up because Guessing starts dropping, and I think Vilko got dropped by then. And then Ayuso accelerates, but he does like a 10-second acceleration and just sits up. I don't know. I thought it was weird because I was like, do you expect to drop Primož and like Jonas and Sepp by like doing a 10-second acceleration and like trying to get them to work with you? They're not going to do that. They don't give a fuck. They have 28 minutes on Remco, so why would they try to chase him so desperately? They can let him win the stage. They don't want to win the stage today. You want to win the stage. Why would they work? They're not going to be wasting energy. That would be stupid. They do not need to do that. They worked hard yesterday. Today they're going to chill. They won the stage yesterday. They have the red jersey. They basically have a podium going on. Why would they need to work with you? Of course they're not going to do that. So it was pretty weird. I don't know what he wanted to do with that. I don't know. Is it even an attack? It's like an acceleration. Then he tries to, talk Primož into working with him, and Primož's like, I'm not going to work with you. What do you think I'm going to do? And then and then De La Cruz actually attacked, which, I don't know. It was kind of like these accelerations. No one was really committing to an attack. Everyone was like accelerating and just sitting up. And then Ayuso actually ended up attacking again, but then he ended up sitting up again. And also he was like flicking Primož, and I don't know what he wanted to do with those attacks. And UAE worked really hard for him. That group was really reduced by then. Even UAE started dropping. Like Soler dropped, which I was like, was that really an amazing idea to do all this work for Soler to drop and Ayuso not do anything with it? I don't know. And even and also we saw with like 52 kilometers to go, there was like a shot of Bardet kind of gesturing to people to try and to asking them basically to give him something to drink. Like he was holding up his hand and clearly wanted to ask someone for some sort of water. There's also there also was this discussion on Twitter about if the Jumbo-Visma Swire should have given Bardet a drink. And there's two different opinions. One is, they're not, Bardet's no big rival for Yumbo. Why shouldn't he have given him the water? It's a hot day. Humanity, show him some humanity, which is a valid point. But then other people were saying, like, what if he had the perfect amount of bidons for those riders who are riding up the mountain and he could not give any to Bardet? So, both are valid points. You cannot deny that. I don't know what I personally think myself because I'm kind of on the fence on this topic. But, one of those moments that's gonna probably cause a bit of a stir on Twitter and also on like Facebook and stuff like that, on sort of maybe Reddit as well. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. If I would have extra bidons, I would have given him a bidon. I feel like I would have. Also, there's this like weird discussion going on about they were not gonna give him the bidon. Like they have freaking doping in there. Stop. Just stop it. Like, I just hate this weird discussion because I know Yumbo is incredible and they control everything and they're just kind of inevitable, but I do not like the comparison to Sky. I do not like it. Sky was freaking boring. I rewatched a lot of races with Sky being, leaders. They were boring. It was, kind of like a typical train, nothing exciting. You knew who was going to win the tour, blah, blah, blah. But with Yumbo, I feel like they do pretty exciting things. Like their strategies and how they play stages, I feel like they're really exciting to watch. I don't feel like they're as horrible as people paint them out to be. Like the comparisons to Sky, I feel like those are weird. I don't feel like they're Sky. I don't feel like that. But everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I'm not gonna judge you on your opinion. Everyone has an opinion, so But also back to what I was saying. There's like this narrative that they're doping and they would not give him the bidon because they have secret stuff in that bidon. Like, grow up. If they would have doping, they probably would not be giving it in bottles. Like they would be probably giving some medicine or stuff. Even if like I am a person that is a firm believer of someone is innocent until they're proven guilty. Like I'm not gonna say, yeah, they're dopers until I see a test or a positive doping test. Basically, I'm not gonna say, yeah, they're dopers either way. Like who cares? They're doping. I feel like people are just unnecessarily petty. But what can you do? There was also like this situation with a Yumbo rider, which was like I don't even know which like kind of team he was on, but he got a positive test. But we've seen in sports that there's people who can do stuff on their own. I don't know. I don't want to live with this thought in my mind of they're dopers because that would take all of the enjoyment out of watching cycling. If I would watch it with the thought that who cares, they're dopers, just kind of don't watch it that way because you're taking away the enjoyment for yourself of watching this amazing sport that is so exciting and beautiful, and we can see these amazing stories of riders and individuals, and the sport is growing. And instead of being a bitch about it and talking about there's doping going on, like shut up, like just grow up, watch the freaking race, and move on. You can critique everything. You can critique organization. You can critique strategy. You can critique riders' choices. Although you're not an expert, but whatever. But don't be talking shit about they're dopers until I see a freaking signed document from I don't know the UCI or whoever, like the WADA, the World Anti-Doping Association, that says this guy is a doper and he has this positive sample of some sort of doping in his body. I'm not gonna be living that way because that's just gonna take out all the freaking enjoyment out of watching this sport. I'm gonna be left this miserable couch sitting fucking critic being a absolute menace for no reason. It's kind of like a mini rant for me that I just had right now, but I kind of want to talk about it because I am annoyed because I cannot look at any sort of article on Twitter or some sites or Reddit or anything without seeing a million and one of those like they're dopers. Either way, who cares? Please just get it on my timeline. Like I don't need to see that. with 40 kilometers to go. We're back in Spain. So we're no longer in France. We're back in Spain. And then Bahrain goes to the front again. I don't understand it. I'm not going to comment on it. Just help Jumbo as much as you can. I don't know. I guess you just want to help them. I guess you just want to have a help Jumbo day. And then you have a everyone's fucking dropped day. And we're not achieving anything with this day. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid, but I don't know what they did with that. Because it was this pointless pool, which was just, I don't know. It's one of those situations I'm like, either I am not smart enough or this was just stupid. Maybe it's the first one, but, I still, this podcast is kind of the perfect space for someone who wants to talk about cycling without judgment or claiming I'm an expert or saying I know everything about cycling. I'm just sharing my thoughts as a person who's watching the race and just wanting to talk about it, kind of a place to vent. So this is that. And then about 20 kilometers to go, the breakaway has a large gap. Obviously, they're going to win the stage. They had like 7 minutes by then. They're going to win. And Remco was just hammering it at the front, absolutely smashing it. The group behind is like kind of together. The three guys that I mentioned earlier, they're like 4 minutes behind Remco. And it was who's going to win, a duel between Bardet and Remco. I had Remco winning, but, still, it's exciting to watch. Maybe, Bardet pulls something out of the bag. It's going to be exciting. Whatever. The peloton kind of grew again. Like, their riders came back, and it was no longer the selected group, and, everyone dropped, whatever. They kind of got back together again. You can see that they were not really going hard. I didn't feel like there were going to be any time gaps today, and there weren't really. So, yeah, predicted that. So stupid. Then there was like this shot. I know it's a part of cycling, but I get so nervous when there's so many people on these climbs, like waving shit and throwing stuff and screaming. I'm like, oh my god, get away! What if you do something? 2 years ago on the Grenon stage, where Jonas is literally fighting for the Tour de France. There's this guy running behind him with a flare or something, and Jonas had to like scream at him mid climb. Like, imagine that. So so this is like, it's a situation of, it's amazing. It's atmosphere. It's cycling. Love it. Like this year, Thibaut Pinot's last ever tour, which is insane. But even like when I was not a fan of cycling, like a super fan, I just kind of like casually watched it a few years back. I knew who Thibaut was, so this is a pretty crazy situation that he's retiring. But back to what I was saying, people were screaming like Thibaut Pinot. It was really amazing to see. That was like amazing. But today I was like so nervous, and the people were like waving the flags. It was just so like, I was so nervous. And then 4 Ks to go, Remco, I don't know if it was this weird situation because Bardet kind of dropped without Remco really accelerating. And then Remco looked back and he thought, he's like kind of dropping. So he accelerated, and that's the last we saw of Remco with Bardet. He went for the win, just whacked it, twirled the finish line. So inspiring to see. Loved, he looked so strong. That's why I think he has the legs, maybe not the best ones, but still, the mental health and what you think and how you feel is so important to how you perform. And that's why it's so important to take care of yourself. So this is a PSA I just want to throw out there. Never, ever, ever forget about self-care or trying to feel as good as you can. Remember, you need to be happy in life. This sounds so freaking weird, but it's really important to not give up, basically. I'm gonna get kind of emotional talking about this, but just watching him today break down to tears after winning a stage kind of shows you how important it is to take care of yourself and take care of your mental health. And remember, no matter what happens, there's a new day tomorrow to try and do something again and try again. Basically, give yourself a chance to try again. Remco wins. He's crying after finishing the stage. He's so emotional. Like, the guy, all the emotions he has been bottling up for probably weeks kind of fell out at one moment. And it was really interesting maybe not interesting, but like, it was really cool to see. He shows vulnerability. He shows, no matter what you think of me, I'm a human. And please, everyone, remember, the guy is not a robot. He's not going to have an amazing day every day and all this, like, he lost 28 minutes, he's finished. The guy's like, he's never going to win a Grand Tour. He's never going to win the Tour de France. God, like, stop it. We do not know that. And even if, who cares? He's still incredible, and he's showing us that he's an amazing rider and he does incredible things. And then the peloton arrived, and also the breakaway who was behind, they arrived a few minutes after him. De La Cruz was kind of like trying to escape from the peloton. I don't know. I feel like because he wanted to have a place in the top 10 of the stage. But still, peloton arrives like 8 I think they arrived 8:21 after Remco. So clearly they were not trying to chase him or anything like that. There's this cool moment where Primož, after the finish line, kind of hugs Kuss, and he's like, joking with him, and Jonas and Kuss and Primož are all standing together, kind of, enjoying what they're doing on this Vuelta, which, they're incredible. The guys are just probably going to 1, 2, 3 this Vuelta. I hope Kuss wins, though. After Primož, if not him, Primož, because I just love Primož so much. So it's still, this stage was kind of this, one of those where you see vulnerability, emotions, and athletes exposing themselves to criticism, because Remco, by doing this, is exposing himself to like this narrative that the guy is not mentally strong enough to win Grand Tours, and you should be a badass, you cannot have any bad days. So I feel like he's great for that, and I loved it. I feel like he may start feeling better again. I feel like he still has a chance to win, perhaps, I don't know, stage, which one? I'm gonna look at the profiles. I'm just gonna, maybe stage 18, maybe he's gonna win that, maybe stage 20. So I feel like he can still win a stage. He's still gonna try and go into breakaways probably. So yeah, this is basically what happened this week, and also in US Open and all that stuff. I'm so excited to now go and watch the women's final, because it's currently 8:45 and I'm done with this little podcast session. Pretty chaotic, but enjoyed it, because now I can enjoy the audio. I'm no longer going to be miserable wondering what is going on with it. So yeah, I'm going to prepare for tomorrow's podcast. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about the stage, but this is it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully the audio is okay. I do not want to hear any weird things. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it can be okay. And I'm going to be fine with that. So yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you for tomorrow's stage. And yeah, thank you again.